When it comes to the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, and the Game Boy Advance SP, there are a lot of different ways to play and enjoy these games in handheld mode. But what about on the TV? We're going to go through 4 different options and kind of rank them best to worst. The worst one I've got to say has got to be the Retron SQ. This does not emulate well, it does not play well. This has a lot of hiccups to it. Up next, the Super Game Boy. Now in Japan, there's actually 2 different versions. There's a gray one like this and a blue one. The blue one actually addresses a clock speed issue where this one does not play the right speed. It also adds in a link cable functionality. The thing is, you can only use it with Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. Number 2, the Retron 5. This one plays Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color games all through the front slot here. One issue that it does have is it doesn't save contents back to the games. You have to have an SD card installed in the back for it to save any of your game status. But this is actually the system, not this one, but the original, that got me back into retro. And then finally, we've got the Game Boy player for the GameCube. And the nice thing, again, this plays Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance games. And how old were you when you realized this actually had an eject mechanism on the side? The wonderful thing about the early generation of GameCubes, especially ones that have the digital output on the back, is you can connect it to your TV using like HD Retrovision component video cables and then go through an upscaler, or you can use like a Carby or the Prisma HDMI adapter. This is a great way to play. It is expensive though. Let me know down in the comments, what is your favorite way to play Game Boy titles, original Game Boy cartridges, not emulation, but original Game Boy, Game Boy Color, or Game Boy Advance cartridges on your television.